Step right up. Climb aboard. The caravan is waiting.
Half dark. Before we go any further, I want you to know that tonight has one rule. Pay attention, not give, pay. On a Friday the 13th in October, the field takes its tithe. So if you do decide to stay for the rest of the story, know that every second you spend is a receipt with your name on it. Are you listening? Or don't. The choice is yours. The stakes and the stakes are high. Choose to stick around and listen, or choose to end the story now before it begins. That's it. That's your only warning. The darkness surrounding you is listening, so listen back. It might just save your life. Keep your head on a swivel. Keep your eyes, ears, hands, and feet inside the story. First thing I learned out here, half-lit means it's half dark. You don't get to choose which half is yours. This is about Halloween and survival, how half the night is yours until it isn't. If you can hear me, congratulations. You're still on the safe half. For now. Just remember the rule, okay? Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about that date again. Friday, October 13th. I'd be lying if I said I didn't know today's date when my eyes opened this morning. Not just Friday the 13th, those turn up often enough, but when it falls in October, the dark pays attention. Some dates leave fingerprints on you. Some carve their names in. Some bruise, some scar, and some, God help us, move in. They know where you hide the spare and come back jiggling a lock you swore you changed. Friday the 13th in October walks right into your life, and once inside, the rows of corn count every heartbeat. They call me a survivor. I let them because it sounds tidy, but it isn't true. I didn't survive anything. Therapy was gauze on bone. The bottle was gasoline on a fire, and it came with a leash I wore for years before I cut it off. Psychedelics were pretty lights on barbed wire, didn't soften the fence, just lit every barb. If anything worked, it was nature. But even nature carries the echo. This night, this weather, that half-moon dragging a fingernail across the past, that's what this is. Nature didn't save me. It showed me the way back to it. Whatever bit me on Friday, October 13th, 1967, learned to live under my skin, dormant between flares. Chronic, not gone. You ask what I remember most? The corn, the way it whispered with every breath of wind. Back then, I didn't know it was whispering my name. The rows leaned like jurors when I arrived, and the ears turned, hundreds of little heads, listening. Out here, the corn grows on more than rain. Folks say it's weather and luck. The rows know better. They remember what you spill. I lived on a dead end called Wicker Place. Happy family to one side, woods to the other. My bedroom window faced the trees, and the trees looked back. I learned people by their habits. A woman running, ponytail ticking like a metronome. A man who flicked his cigarette at the same patch of dirt. Teenagers trying on mouths. A stranger who once squared his shoulders and stepped into the woods and didn't step out. The earth keeps what you give it, and some of what you don't. October fattened the air, apples and exhaust, wet leaves and chimneys, pumpkins slumped on porches. Leaves hung coin yellow and ember red like they knew they were next. Dad had a date with a hot tamale. His words. He married her later. No bad blood, just none shared. Around this time each year she tried harder, sending polite messages that remembered my name and forgot my weather, the storms and droughts of me. I learned to disappear better than ghosts. With Dad heading out, Uncle Brian rolled up. 67 fastback Mustang, night mist blue, black until the porch light caught it. The blue was deep enough to drown in. He asked if I wanted to take a trip out to Fields of Dread, a haunted hayride a little over an hour away with a corn maze, caramel apples, cider, roasted corn, and hot cocos for the ride home. He was only 12 years older, the kind of cool you could borrow for a night, and that car made everything feel like a movie. I said yes before the idol settled. The ride was the attraction. Fields of Dread was the cherry on top. Inside, the stang smelled like Pall Malls, Aqua Velva, and Old Pennies. A Fields of Dread, Hayride to Hell Tonight. Flyer was scotch taped to the dash, pumpkins and corn stalks grinning, a rain smear running the O thin. We slipped off the highway to a two-lane, fog lights through twin spears, hood turn signals winked amber when he downshifted. By the time we rolled in around 9, night had been sitting there for hours. The heater coughed tin warmth. Our breath filmed the glass. We turned down a gravel road that took us to the attractions. Corn pressed in, rose high as a house, whispering, endless. A hand-painted arrow, haunted hayride tonight, pointed us past a generator thumping and floodlights carving pale islands in the stalks. The lot was scraped clay and ropes, a plywood booth at the mouth, a girl in a knit hat counting change with chapped fingers. A big sign, Fields of Dread. Beyond it, a flame-lit arch, Hayride to Hell, letters burned into wood and night. He steered with 2 fingers, easy as a cigarette, as the night mist hood slid under the lot lights and nosed beside the snack shack. We joined the line, coiling past shacks and plywood coffins. Popcorn sugar steamed white, diesel breath hung heavy, wet grass climbed through the cracked soles of my Converse until my socks surrendered and went cold. Somewhere far off a chainsaw whined, died, whined again, the way a night clears its throat. People laughed too loud like volume could bless them. "You're supposed to be 15, he told the ticket girl, palming the air above my head. He grinned at the girl and stuck a piece of gum in his mouth and started chewing. "Close enough for government work," she said, and winked. She held out her hand for a piece of gum, and my Uncle Brian obliged. "One for now," she said while placing a stick of gum on her tongue without breaking eye contact with Uncle Brian. She stuck out her hand again for another piece. "And one for later to remember you," she finished and slid the extra gum wrapper beneath her waistline. In the years after that night, I always wondered if she chewed that piece or not. We got in line. I had to pee really bad and the cold air wasn't helping my cause. As I danced around while standing in place, I looked up at the moon and noticed it was cut straight in half, coin flipped and never caught. "What are you staring at?" Uncle Brian asked. "The moon. It's half lit." "Half lit? It's Halloween, kid. Means it's half dark. You can keep a sentence longer than you can keep a person." I kept that one. He went on to say, "Oh, that reminds me. You know what today is, right? Friday? You bet, but it's also the 13th, and it's October. Someone once told me that a Friday the 13th in the month of October is the real Halloween, much more rare. 13 and 31, mirror numbers. I think math geeks have some special made-up word for it. Flip one and you get the other. It's the dark twin of Halloween that only shows up once every few years. Who would have thought, huh? Halloween's got a reflection. One opens the month's mouth for all the scary stuff to come out of it, and the other closes it shut. Half dark, I repeated to him while looking up at that moon. Halloween wasn't just some date. It was a mirror, and I was standing in its shadow. One side all porch lights and sugar. The other a deeper dark I didn't have words for yet. I learned the words soon after. Actors drifted, tapping shoulders, dragging rubber axes. The temperature dropped a degree a minute, and the smoke coming out of our mouths grew thicker. Perfume braided with cigarette smoke and kettle corn with funnel cakes. I wanted a cocoa to hold like a coal. I wanted to be braver. I felt a thick finger tap on my shoulder from behind. A little warmth escaped into my underwear. To be fair, I'd been holding it in for a while, and the cold kept pressing into my bladder, and I was nervous. I turned. It was a large man wearing a faded blue prisoner's jumpsuit. He was mostly bald, a few stubborn hairs like snakes listening for a flute, eyes like dry wells. Gray stubble mapped his cheeks. He didn't need a mask. Some folks don't. "Here, kid," he said, and poured 2 handfuls of plastic spiders on my wet shoes. I did a knee-high dance to get them off of me. He laughed. Uncle Brian laughed. He leaned in so only I could hear him breathe. "Happy Halloween, kid." I said it back. He smiled. Candy corn wasn't on his teeth. It was in them. Orange and yellow, sunk into the gums like half-healed wounds. The grin didn't move. It lived there. I'll never forget that. I'd seen vampire teeth before, but never pieces of candy corn stuck on top of random teeth like caps. "Twosome," the barker called, fingers in a V. No one else moved. Fate likes volunteers. "Yeah," Uncle Brian said, and we went where the torches led us. "Hands inside the wagon, feet on the hay. Don't step into the rows," he droned. We sat in the last row, high on hay, sniffing gasoline gusts in between whiffs of hay dust up our noses. The guide lifted a torch. Back then they let you. "Welcome to Fields of Dread, where the corn keeps score. Whatever you do, stay out of the rows." "Keep score of what?" I asked, legs pinched, trying to keep my pee in. "Heartbeats," he said, grinning, "counting what you've got left." We rattled along a bumpy dirt road along the cornfields. Sheet ghosts wagged. A coffin slid by on a trick line. A girl in white stepped sideways through light and didn't blink until you did. The engine gave 3 coughs, the coughs I would learn by heart, and died. Lou, the tour guide, helped escort the couple dozen of us off the tractor trailer and onto the dirt road. The torch he'd found took 7 licks to catch. He swore softly to himself on 6. We counted 13 rows to the mouth of the maze because pretending math can protect you is one of the last luxuries of the living. The tour guide's radio crackled. 10-4, said a far-off voice. Then, "Emergency, it's the Wolfmen. Get those folks out. Copy? Get out of there." Wolfmen. Teenagers and couples laughed their armor laugh. Lou smirked. Leaves started running at us from every direction, sound before shape. The torch found fur and teeth and hot breath, and the wolfman was on the wagon behind us, pinning the driver and biting his neck. He dragged him into the trees, screaming. Then he was back, bloodier, bigger. We screamed because that's what you pay for. The radio voice tore open. "Lou, get the riders out. He's coming for you all. You're all gonna die." A chainsaw snarled through the speaker and chewed the words to filings. We could hear screams off in the distance about a half-mile away. The radio buzzed again, this time a woman's voice. "Lou, he's coming your way. This isn't an act. It's an emergency. He's got a chainsaw and he's on the loose. Run." My blood started pumping heat as adrenaline took over my body. I'd become numb. The act felt real. The voices were too frantic to be an act. It was usually cheap and hokey. Lou told us to follow him, and we did. Uncle Brian kept his arm around me with a smile to try and relax me. Or perhaps it was to help relax himself. I'll never know. We ran towards 2 torches, making a mouth of it at the edge of the cornfields. The screams in the distance were closer, and the chainsaw was getting louder. An old man in rags stood muttering to himself like a gatekeeper from 1,000 years ago, staring off into the distance. They said, "Stay out of the corn. Stay out of the corn." We stepped into the rows like the rule had never been written. We shouldn't have. The corn had a language if you held your breath the way you hold a thought you're ashamed of. You had to go still enough to hear it shape its one hard word. It spoke like old paper folded wrong, like dry wings scraping. The word it made, rubbed from 1,000 little mouths, was back, back, back. I told myself it was wind learning a new shape. The wind didn't know my name, the rose did. A hiccup in the dark, a throat clearing where no throat should be, then the sound that reorders the world, a pull, a stammer, a bite, and the chainsaw caught, a baptism with teeth. The first rip took the night in half. The second trimmed the halves closer. On the third, the idle settled into a low, patient hunger that knew my height, my weight, my softest parts. Hot oil, cold metal, the sweet, sick tang of premix, gasoline up the nose until your eyes water like you've just confessed something you can't take back. My heart tried to kick out the front of me and go on without the rest. A torch flare emerged. He stepped through the stalks like the corn had been saving him a seat. Blue prisoner's jumpsuit gone wet at the collar. Fresh blood dripped from his clothes, face, and chainsaw. Candy corn pressed into his gums. Orange and yellow set like half-healed burns. The grin didn't move. It lived there. He didn't rev to scare us. He barely looked. The man was in a trance. He walked the bar along the stalks, and the field shivered. Green confetti and silk threads shivering into the torchlight. Something hot flecked my ear. A hair pinned to my cheek. Violin string tight. I wiped and tasted what the night was made of. Iron, heat, and a little salt from someone else's living. He passed close enough that I could smell his mouth, nickel and clove, and a sweetness underneath like melted Halloween left too long on a radiator. He leaned near as if to whisper, and the grin never changed. The saw did the talking. The sound went inside my bones and shook the pictures off the walls there. I'll tell you the worst part, the way he looked at us like we were wildlife. Men, women, children screamed together, a choir without a hymn. The corn sang back, the old paper voice saying back, back, back. Teenagers tried to laugh and found their laughter had teeth marks. The torch licked higher, guttered, licked again. Shadows braided and unbraided on the candy corn smile. Uncle Brian's palm found the back of my neck. Fast father thing, thumb drawing a cross on me without church. He moved the bar like a conductor, and the field obeyed. We heard it before we understood it. He shouldered through a knot of people, and the knot unraveled in pieces. A lantern went down and rolled on its side, spilling fire like cheap beer. Stalks caught and hissed green, a sickly candle smell that made the world look underwater and close. In that light, his eyes were not eyes at all, just two dry wells with nothing at the bottom. He lifted the bar, listening to the idol the way a man listens to a favorite song. He looked at me because I looked at him. I couldn't help it. The candy corn in his mouth had a chip out of one tooth, like a bite mark from something bigger. He put the bar against his own chest and let the chain kiss the cloth. When we made eye contact in his fit of rage under that moon with blood misting the air, I had this strange feeling of déjà vu or destiny, like something inside of me had been unlocked. It's time to feed the field. Tonight we tithe in red. The maniac screamed through his candy corn teeth. Someone grabbed my shoulder from behind and then wasn't there. I heard a boot scuff and a breath end. The corn took it. "Brian," I said, and lost the rest to the saw. He moved again and the world stuttered. The bar drew lines through light, through hair, through coats, through hands that rose too late to be more than decorations. He wasn't fast, the night was. Uncle Brian pulled at me, hard enough to bruise. He shoved me sideways into a gap only he could see and put his body where mine had been. If he said something, I didn't hear it, but I felt the meaning press into my neck through his thumb. Go. His hand trembled. It didn't let go. The saw found us anyway. A slap, not even a cut at first. A hot slap on my wrist, like the bar was a teacher and I'd answered wrong. Then the delayed bell through bone. The itch that turns to burn, that turns to cold. My glove filled without getting wet. My fingers didn't understand me. They opened when I told them close, closed when I said hold on. The field took note. Tithe, the rose hissed. Tithe. I didn't know then what it meant to start missing yourself. "Run," Uncle Brian said into my hair, voice the size of a nail. He shoved again and left his hand where mine used to be, and I went because every part of me that could still go did. He stepped after me, and the chain spoke, and the corn stood up taller to watch. We sank into the rows like we'd been standing on the surface of a lake. The stalks crowded in on the compass of my face. Leaves cut the soft under the jaw where a razor knows you. I slid and clawed and tasted dirt older than us all. My boots lost their tread and eventually fell off at some point. Behind us, the idol flattened, then rose. I thought I saw a light. I think every life comes with a fake light you only get to see once, to see if you'll spend what you are for it. I went. Of course I went. Every turn was the right one for a while. I heard Uncle Brian behind me, and then I didn't. The chainsaw overtook his screams as a stalk snapped that wasn't a stalk. The corn danced to the beat of the saw, and he was gone. I ran a year, then another, then 50 more. Hell, I'm still running. Even after all these years, I'm still exactly where I was. When I got my license, I went back once a year, every fall. I hopped the fence at dusk and walked the grounds. Booths sagged, posters scabbed to the pines, the snack bar's ribs showing, but the corn still stood, tall, loud, like it hadn't heard about the end of the world. I stood where the wagon used to idle and waited for the old recipe, popcorn sugar over diesel, wet grass under it, and when the wind turned, pennies climbed the back of my tongue. I wasn't visiting a place, I was visiting a wound. Most years I left a coin. Some years I left a drop of blood. Then I started taking. 1 ear, then 2, then every time. The car ride home smelled like earth and ghosts. I shelled kernels into a coffee can, dried them on yesterday's obituaries, planted them along the fence come spring. Hose water, moon salt, a pinprick from my thumb. The corn was the key. Between then and now I hunted it and it hunted me. 89, too much heat with thunder stomping out the delicate parts of fear. In 95, rain turned dirt to soup. The night was canceled. 2000, the moon was wrong, and that was the most important part. 2006, sheriffs crawling the grounds like ants. I promised to quit. The calendar laughed. In 2017, I got close, got the job, liked the weather, but the venue was wrong. The corn didn't fit the memory. That's when it hit me. The corn was the key, and I'd had it all along. Kin, everyone do me a favor. Take a good hard look out there. See those rows? They're mine. I planted them from seed fed with my blood, Uncle Brian's blood, and the 6 others who died on that Friday the 13th back in '67. The old place collapsed, but the corn kept standing, so I went back, took what grew, and taught the new ground how to listen. These fields lean in because they know me. Matter of fact, see this roasted corn that I'm chewing on right now? It's grown fresh here at Half Dark Farms. I gotta tell you, tonight tastes right. We're breathing smoke, our feet are wet with dew. Check out that moon above us cut in half, the dark deep enough to measure the light, honestly. Popcorn sugar, funnel cakes, diesel, wet grass, cheap cologne, and this time the corn's just right. Turn here, Charlie. This road is called Devil's Run. It marks the second half of the night, the half that doesn't belong to you anymore. Now I welcome you to the best part of the half-dark hayride, where the corn keeps score. Fields of dread may be dead and salted, but the corn here at Half Dark Farms is kin from that tragedy. And I'm telling you this because a picture carried 50 years wants out. Because there's always a boy with a sleeve in his fist and a guardian's hand pretending to be a promise of warmth and safety. Because a wound wants its old shape back. You right there with the orange sweatshirt. You look about 13 pretending not to be. Those your dad's knuckles on your shoulder? I hope you've been listening. Because the darkness of the corn's been watching and listening. Here's some spiders for you. Oh, pardon the kernels. I know how haunting a smile full of corn on teeth can be. By the way, if any of you have been wondering why this glove never comes off, and why I eat this delicious roasted corn on the cob with one hand. If you can't see it from where you sit, I'll say it plain. The Rows took their tithe in '67. The boy who lived kept his promise. I salted the past, sowed the present, and built this place with my own 2 hands. Well, as you can see, 1. If my story's bullshit, explain this. What do you doubters who are saying this is fake have to say about that, huh? Ugly, ain't it? That's the price I pay for living it. Sit down, Charlie. One last bite to taste the past, one last time. That's good. That's good, Charlie. Stop here.
This isn't part of the skit, sir.
I know, Charlie. You did your part. Now run. Everyone else, see this brown patch of my beautiful fields? It's dying. For some reason, it's having a bad year. But I think I've got an idea to bring it back stronger for next year. It needs fresh, young blood. I said that Friday the 13th in October of '67 unlocked something in me when I made eye contact with that monster. I've spent decades trying to lock it up, but tonight I'm setting it free. You can feel it from the hay up, can't you? The way the ground listens? That's not dirt. That's memory with a root system. Look at the hay under you. Last year's harvest. Last year's lesson. I told you tonight's rule was to listen. The corn was trying to tell you to go back. Some of you felt it. The ankle tug, the breath against the ear, that little hammer in the ribs spelling no. You knew you shouldn't have climbed aboard this hayride, but you couldn't help yourselves. You wanted to dance with the devil. You came for a story. Well, you're in one. A Friday the 13th in October is when the field comes to collect. How you pay is simple, in blood, while the chainsaw does the counting. I know you all want an ending to this, but the truth is there aren't any endings. There's a circle, and there's a price to pay to ride it. Tonight we balance the book. Tonight we feed the ground that grew the story that led to you. Phones won't save you. The moon doesn't take calls. Pray into your sleeve if you like. Laugh if you have to. Either way, the only way out is through the rows that have been whispering your names all evening. Deep down, some of you heard it, didn't you? And right now you can feel it, can't you? That new warmth pumping through your body, that adrenaline, that fear. Now, some of you, the moon's half lit. You go on your way. I'm here for the others. It's time to feed the field. Tonight we tithe in red. I'm here for the ones who speak my language. Those who know tonight's moon is half dark.
Thanks for watching. I hope you were scared to death. If your heart's still beating, like and share. And if you dare, subscribe for more delicious horror. We'll be waiting, right here in the dark.